Hi, welcome back to Burning River Bushcraft. Today we're going to be doing a Glock 17 frame chop. So this is a full-size handgun. This is a Glock 17. So this is a full-size 9mm pistol. It has around a 4.5-inch barrel, and it has a full frame to it. So the bottom of the grip frame comes approximately to the bottom of my hand. If this is any longer, it's really a waste. So the magazine for this is a 17-round magazine. Everything fits in there nice and flush. When a handgun is designed, the full-size guns are what's designed. Now, to meet the needs of concealed carry, they start making smaller and smaller guns. This is the Glock 19. The Glock 19 has about a 1/2 inch shorter barrel. I'll lay them side by side here. So it's about a 1/2 inch, maybe a little bit less than that. And also, the big thing for me is the frame's a little bit longer. So the magazine for the Glock 19 holds 15 rounds, and if you look, my hand is a little bit longer than the pistol frame itself. So for long-term shooting or range use or anything else, it's always better to go with a full-size handgun. You get better control, better grip, more comfort. The Glock 19 is kind of a compromise. This is called like a mid-sized gun. So I'm trying to take some of the advantages from the Glock 19 and add it to the Glock 17. So why am I chopping a Glock 17 instead of just using a Glock 19? Well, first off, this is a borrowed gun. I borrowed this to use as a pattern to cut my frame down. So I have the 17, I would have to go purchase the 19. The fact that the barrel is a 1/2 inch longer is completely irrelevant to me for concealed carry. The longer barrel is going to be in the waistband anyway, so the only concealment issue is the last 1/2 inch or so of the frame. So that's what we're going to be cutting off today. Alright, so let's get started here. Here's going to be roughly what's coming off. This is the 17 versus the Glock 19 magazine. So I'm going to chop this down until the shorter magazine will fit in the frame itself. So I'm going to use the 19 to scribe lines on the longer full-size pistol, but this is going to be my ultimate guide. I'm not done until the 15-round Glock 19 magazine locks completely and ejects fine from my full-size frame. So here's a pretty good look at the difference lengthwise between the 17 and the 19. It's not a whole lot. If you're lucky enough to have access to both pistols before you decide to make this chop, go ahead and take the slides off. That way you can deal with just the frames themselves. So you're going to have different height of sights from the 19 to a 17 anyway. So if you just invert the pistol, set it down and make your marks, that's going to cause you some grief. As well as different types of sights. This has steel sights. The 19 has factory sights. So strip yourself down, at least field strip it, get yourself down to just the frames themselves. I'm going to be using the same white pencil that I had when I did the Indotac video, and I'm going to go ahead and scribe my line. So obviously I'm going to cut heavy. I'm going to cut way up here and then sand my way down to the line. So I've got my line scribed. Now the Glock 19 has a little up curve to the back side. I'm not that concerned with that. I can fine tune this edge once I get the cut down and have the magazine working. So as far as anything down here, this is all hollow. So it's really nothing to worry about. Just make sure you cut a nice straight line, and let's get to it. So as far as tools go, I'm just going to be using a Dremel. This is a cutoff wheel. You could use, your 4.5-inch angle grinder. You could use a hacksaw. This is pretty easy stuff to work with. Just be darn certain you are on the heavy side of the line. Stay heavy with it and then sand it down. Definitely want to take your time with this. Not something you want to rush through. You know, measure it a couple times and take a deep breath and get to cutting. So a note on the Dremel tool here. So higher speed works better. I was able to keep my cut fairly straight on the correct side of the line. On the back strap, didn't have enough wheel depth to go all the way through the magazine well. So I cut little notches here to take the back strap out, but I'm still a little shy. I could work through it. I could get a hacksaw. I think I'm going to get my angle grinder and make a little deeper cut right here. The way the Dremel was acting, I would have just assumed used my angle grinder. I'm more familiar with that tool. I thought it would be a little bit big for this project, but in retrospect I would have just done it in one chop with the angle grinder. Here it is. I think I've kind of lost that that nice clean factory edge. The good news is this is the Glock 19 magazine, and I'm not even close to engaging. So I did not take off too much. If I were to lock the 17 in, take it outside and shoot it, it would all function just fine. So this is all just irrelevant plastic down here. I'm going to deburr this with the sander, and then I'll start lowering the entire grip frame down until I get full engagement in the magazine catch. So I did knock the heat burr from the wheel. I did knock that off of the usable part of the magazine. The back I'm not real concerned with yet. And I am not seating the magazine. I'm not able to seat the magazine yet, which is perfect. That's exactly what we want. You can see I've still got exposed white. Now there's a lot of different ways people can do this. You can straight up try to mimic the Glock 19, or you can leave this little part pronounced and actually seat the magazine so it'll be flush with the back strap, similar to a Glock 27, I think, or 26, whatever the subcompacts are. Depending on how this cut goes, I'm fully prepared to cover this with some type of carry magazine well. I don't want a full-size competition mag well, but a slim carry magazine well would be fine with me. That would flare it out a little bit. That'd give me a little bit more to hold on to, but it should still going to be shorter than the magazine base, so I'm not going to really add anything to the back of the pistol. So at this point, I'm just going to keep sanding flush, try to keep it flush as I'm able, all the way down, and check it. But realistically, I should not be clicking in the magazine catch until the white pencil marks are gone. I still have just a little bit of pencil line showing, and I've got lockup. Now, this is the factory frame, and you can see when I've got lockup, I've got a little bit extra here. So I still need to take off some material off the chopped 17 frame, because I have I'm pretty tight right here. So when the magazine's full, A lot of times with the slide forward magazine full, you've got to compress the spring to get the magazine to seat, and that's going to be a booger with this thing. And so as a fighting gun, we are going to clearance this a little bit more and mimic the 19 frame. But you see it's working fine. Our process is working fine. And here's the well. I'm going to chamfer the inside of this, but it's really not bad at all. This back I haven't even touched. I haven't even hit this with the sander yet. So we will just keep on going, a little bit at a time. So this is the factory frame, and I showed you the little gap there, but the main thing is the magazine play. This is going to make up for a lot of the discrepancies between different manufacturers and magazines, or if this magazine happened to get dropped and squished a little bit, or had dirt on it, or the gun had dirt on it. I'm locked up just fine, and I don't have that as much play, so I'm going to keep at it a little bit, but not a whole lot more. But before I do that, one thing I can do is get a full idea of what I'm dealing with here. So it definitely is more concealable. It definitely is not a full handful. I knew that going into it. But for a no-nonsense fighting gun, definitely got possibilities. I'm going to keep playing with this a little bit. I will get just a little bit of wiggle, then I'll take it, get some range time with it before I worry about contouring this back, which that's just going to be kicking it up at a little bit of an angle, whatever suits me, or if I decide to fit this with a magazine well. I'm going to go ahead right now and assemble the pistol. Okay, so right now the pistol is unloaded and I have a loaded magazine. Again, the chamber is empty right now, but I am just going to see if I can compress and get the magazine to seat, which I can. No issues there. Now, one thing I am noticing, I come from a competition shooting background, so most all of the shooting I've done is with full-size handguns. I carry full-size handguns normally. I just think it's kind of, this will add a little something if I have another option in the toolbox. I do notice because my hand is longer than the grip frame, when I do magazine change, it's pretty easy to hit my hand and not the bottom of the pistol frame. But that's just operator error on my behalf. So I've got a nice little gap here. And I think at this point I'm going to call this completed project. This back edge, I've got a lot of options here. I can square this up, just sand it down. That's option one. All these inside burrs came off when I sanded. I can try to kick it up to match the 19 more closely. That would probably look the best. But what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to get a small carry magazine well for this. It shouldn't add any length to the pistol because the magazine is going to have to extend below it anyway. I think one thing that's going to do is it's going to clean up the edge. It's a pretty clean edge, but I still have, you can still tell the pistol's been chopped. Especially this bottom here, I lost most of this finger groove. So I'm going to take this outside, we're going to run a few mags through it, make sure it works, and then I'm going to carry it for a little bit and make sure this is a worthwhile modification that I want to continue, and then I believe I'm going to try to fit this with a magazine well. Now it's super windy outside, that's why I'm doing this video today. We'll cut outside, no way you're going to get any sound with that, but until next time, this has been Jamie Boggs with Burning River Bushcraft. See you soon.